I have this design I received from a designer during the week. I'm going to share what is working and what is not working in the design. I'm going to show you guys my version of the artwork. I'm sure you're going to learn from this tutorial. So let's start. So at first, when I received this design from my team, I almost approved this. All right. In fact, I was saying to myself that, man, this is a good project here. But after going through the project, I found out that the message is not clear. People want to quickly understand what the message is about. And that should be your focus whenever you are putting together the elements. See how you can simplify the elements in a way that the viewers quickly get the message. And that's why whenever you're working on design projects, always see yourself as the viewer. Place the element in a way that you yourself always like to get involved whenever you see design that, that looks successful to you. So I'm saying this here because of what this designer did here. At first when I saw this design, the way I read this was, I said, medical free outreach BAM of Gilead. In fact, the first thing that draws my attention was this. All right. And then this next. And then I now went straight to this. I had to go back again and start reading the content in the design. And now find out that the focus is what looks less important in the design. And that is this. This is the focus here. All right. This should be like, let's say 80%. All right. Of the focus in the project, not this. All right, not this. I know most time clients always say, hey, we're looking at you making our name bold, we're looking at you making our name very visible. There are several ways you can do that, which I'm going to show you guys in the redesign version, because I know most time clients will say, I want people to really see our logo and our name. So I think maybe that's why the designer decided to make this big. And another thing I noticed that did not really flow well in this design, which there's a strategic way of placing images in design. The way this designer placed this image here is not nice. Why? Because, yeah, there are times when you can do this, but you only do this when this asks you to. In fact, let me say this to you guys. The title of the design is what really explains how you place the image. And that's why there are some images that, like the other elements in the image, are not necessary for the project. And that's why after digesting the problem you're asked to solve, you need to get rid of elements that are not necessary in the image or the illustration. So you only do this when you're trying to say, this is not necessary. So I like the fact that, the information is bold here. All right. And I also like the, the proximity in the project where, this here look like they belong together. And this here look like they belong together. And this is standing alone. All right. So it's beautiful. But the part of now telling the story is where the message is not clear here, and also the part of placing images the wrong way. All right, so I created two different versions of this artwork. Now, the reason why I always like to start with my illustration is because, you see, your illustration is what mostly inspire the layout of your projects. And whenever you're working on design projects, always see your illustration as an arrow and a box. So the arrow, all right, is what points the viewers to the information you're placing in a project. So if you look at this illustration here now, you'll notice that this stethoscope here is looking more like it's pointing at one direction. So the direction the stethoscope is pointing is where you're to place your element. All right. And another mistake I noticed the designer made in his version is using a cursive character to pass the free information. We're talking about medical design here. There are some people whose problem is finding it hard to read. We get calls a lot from folks who are looking forward to go into design but can't afford to pay for design school. And because of this, we decided to start a foundation where we can be a blessing to these people. Now we're looking at getting tools and gadgets in order for us to meet our goals. And this is where we need you to support us with your donations. So if you have any amount you think you can support us with, kindly send it to the account details on the screen. And if you're outside Nigeria and you wish to be part of this move, you can make use of the seller link below the account details. Every amount that comes from you will be highly appreciated. Thank you, and let's continue the tutorial. So when you're working on any design project that you know is something about medical or something that got to do with health, please use type or use characters that people can easily read. So when you make any element close to a very bold element in your project, people are going to see them like they belong together. People are going to read them together. The proximity of that bold element will make people see that small element like they belong together. I hope you guys get this. And if this is making sense to you, can I get a like? And you can also drop a message and let me know, because I like it when I'm teaching people and they're getting it. I know most time why we always make everything look too big is because we feel when we don't make it big, people are not going to see the information. That's a big lie. No matter how small you make it, people will see it. Do you understand? But one of the ways you can help people to see the information in your project is when you simplify the layout. Here we have the medical kit here, or the medical box here in red. All right. So the idea behind the pick of red, because if you notice on the original version, the designer used green for this, which I don't think is necessary, because this is very important. This is very, very important. Even if you don't use anything that called this in the design, the fact that when people see this in your design, they quickly understand what the message is, what you want them to know. Like I always say, we're visual communicators. One of the tools we use to really communicate to our viewers, in fact, the most powerful element that we use as designers to really communicate well to our viewers is image and text. So the way you place your image, the color used on the image is also important. So the red we have on the kit here is beautiful to draw attention to the project. So this red we have here is what inspired this. So when you see this, the red we have on this and this, you quickly understand that, okay, so it means you get this, you get what's inside this free. All right. So that's why I decided to use the red that we have on the box there. The reason we always have this white space here is because, you see, most clients are always particular about making people see their brand logo. And how you can help people see their brand logo is when you always give room for space. White space is very important. So when the clients say, hey, want people to see our logo, want people to see, even if they did not ask you to, every client always want people to see that, yes, they are the one behind this. Good. Then the other thing I did here that also helped this project look more professional to the eye is the grouping of the element, which is the proximity. The proximity here is so beautiful that you can easily access the information on the project. So if you look at this side here, you notice the space we have here is different from the space we have here. So the idea is to make my viewers know that you see every information, all the information we have here, I want you to see them like they belong together. And this here, I want you to see them like they belong together. So yeah, that's for that. Then because I know some clients may say, hey, my background is looking too plain, all right? Or as a designer, there are times where you need to play. But when you are playing, please understand the goal of the project. This project is talking about medical, and anything medical should be simple. It shouldn't be too busy. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're making it busy is going to separate the people that the artwork is for. When you make it too busy, you're saying the project is not for people with glasses. The project is for people that doesn't use glasses. So because this is a medical project, that's the reason why I decided to use a white color on my background and make it this simple. So I added this to spice up my background. I don't know if you guys can see it. So the idea behind using this typography outline here is to make my background pop. And notice how I use the typography outline. I did not make the outline too bold. I still want to maintain my simplicity where the layout is concerned. And that's the reason why we have this layout here. So let's go straight to our next second option. I'm sure the designer is smiling now with the way I place the image. And I'm going to show you guys the problem with the image. So I'm going to delete the layer mask so you guys can see the problem. All right. This was how the image was. So the reason why the designers the reason why the designer decided to fade the bottom part here is because you see this stethoscope pipe here is hidden inside the frame of the image, and the same thing with this here. So most designers most time always find placing images like this difficult. So I decided to make the second version of this project to show you guys how to handle images like this, and that's the reason why I decided to do this. So that part where the parts that are hidden in the image are also hidden in the frame of the project, so people won't know that there's a problem there. All right, so in as much as people can still see this, do you understand? They know what the message is about. And remember what I explained to you guys previously, that see images as box or arrow. So here we don't really have any box here, we only have arrow, and this is the arrow here, and that's what inspired the placing of my title. All right, then we now have the date and time, which is still the same explanation I made on the first option. And then we now have the logo again. See how beautiful that big space is there. So the space is actually for this logo here. And we now have the same element I used previously, which is the outline type there to make my background pop. All right, so this is where I'm going to stop. I'm glad you made it to the end of this video. If you have not subscribed, remember to hit the subscribe button. If you love this video, give it a thumbs up. Now, guys, let's help other creatives. If you know anyone who is fighting with understanding how to achieve successful design projects or still find it hard to understand the principles of design, kindly share this video with them. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.